Hi. Welcome to another episode of Loathsome Things, a horror movie podcast.
Another episode of
The
it.
another episode. My name is John, and with me on this fine day is my delightful co-host
Is it me?
Josh.
It's
Yes,
me.
it's you.
Yes. Awesome. Good.
How's it going, sir?
Thank God it's me. It's going quite well, sir.
Yeah.
Today we're talking about a movie. This movie is not going to be easy to talk about. So it's going good, but I'm scared. You know how
Yeah.
he's talked about how horror movies don't scare us?
Yeah.
Talking about this horror movie scares me.
Yeah. It's laden with subtext.
Yeah, it's a highly problematic product of 1964.
And also oddly genius.
Yeah, way ahead of its time. A first in many ways. And just absolutely horrifying. It'll, I guess we can go ahead and say we're watching Spider Baby.
Yes.
Yeah, directed by Jack Hill.
Yeah, officially released in 1967.
Mm-hmm. Filmed in 1964 over the course of 12 hot summer days.
That's right. In the middle of the summer with no air conditioning.
Yeah, in some asshole part of California.
That's right, Bunghole, California.
Jack Hill is known for his later career Boris Karloff movies,
Yep.
Including The Terror and House of Evil and Fear Chamber and Isle of the Snake People.
Yes.
He also is famous for directing the early films of the Pam Grier acting career, including The Big Dollhouse, The Big Birdcage, Coffee, and Foxy Brown.
Yes, the classic blaxploitation films.
Yep, that guy, which it's weird. We'll get to that.
Yeah, because he's super white.
He's very white. His name is Jack Hill. It's one of those.
Yeah, he also made Switchblade Sisters.
Oh yeah, those prison-y movies or something. Yeah, and The Sorceress.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, from those days of the boobly lady fantasy movies.
The boobly days of yore.
Yeah. He also made a movie called Pit Stop, which looks terrifying because it's just a bunch of just hardcore car crash stunts.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah, like, hey, what if we had two people drive cars directly into each other?
Perfect.
Yeah,
and roll them. Yeah. He also wrote the screenplay or the story to the tragically horrible Death Ship.
Oh God!
Which I believe was from the 90s or early 2000s. It was a real stinker.
Death Ship.
I should know. I've seen it twice.
We might have to watch Death Ship. It sounds terrible.
It's got at least one really amazing scene in it.
Oh, good. Oh,
yeah.
So this movie comes at it's kind of a time capsule of horror movies, transition in horror cinema. It's a horror comedy spoofing the style of horror that came before it. So a lot of like 1940s era horror movies, like The Spooky Things in the House. I watched this movie without realizing it was a spoof, so my initial opinion was that it was just kind of one of those.
Yeah.
And then I did reading, and I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely has that older film feel, but with that kind of kookiness that you would get in some of the 60s stuff, but also some of the darkness that was really starting to seep in and not be so kind of hinted at as it was in other movies. It's pretty much right up to the fore in this one.
Yep. Yeah, this one, TV Tropes lists it as an example of an unbuilt trope, which means it feels like a subversion or spoof of a trope, but is actually the origin of the trope or tropes.
Fascinating.
Yep. So Spider Baby is potentially the origin of the family of cannibals genre in American horror cinema. Not in fiction.
Yeah, that is. Oh, yeah. I was just going to say how. I mean, what an incredibly landmark achievement that is in horror. Like,
Yep.
I mean, it just spawned one of the best genres. I think one of my
Yep.
favorites, anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. This was filmed a full 10 years before the release of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and many years more than that before the release of the movie Honeydew.
That's right. I was going to say Honeydew.
It is also possibly the origin of the horror trope of the black guy dies first.
Yeah, that was something else. Oh, and
Yeah.
by the way, spoiler alert. We're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna spoil it as we always do.
Oh shit. You're right. So yeah, spoiler alert, cannibals and the black guy dies first.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm sure everyone will be just fine.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk a few trigger warnings.
Yes.
This movie is intensely problematic in its representation of African Americans in cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of has that place in shitty cinema history.
Yeah.
There is incest, cannibalism, spiders, rape, and the throwing around of the word retarded.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I will say they used this word back before it was a cool way to insult your friends, and also before it was no longer a cool way to insult your friend.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Dear God. Oh,
so this movie is troublesome, but also kind of amazing. Maybe not 100% great though.
Yeah, it's I found it incredibly entertaining. I mean, I knew it would be fun just because it was obviously silly. It's got Lon Chaney Jr. in it. It's 60s craziness. It's called Spider Baby, for Christ's sake.
Mm-hmm. It has so many alternative titles.
I know, that's right. The Maddest Story Ever Told.
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yep.
Wasn't Liver Eaters one of them or something?
Yeah, Liver Eaters. Also, this is necessary. Anything you read on the internet or listen to on the internet that talks about this movie is like, well, first let's go through the AKAs. But yeah, it's Liver Eaters and also Cannibal Orgy.
Oh yeah, that's pretty good and kind of fitting.
Yeah, except for
not so much the orgy part.
Yeah.
Unless it's an orgy of cannibalism.
Yeah, and all the food in this movie is terrible, although it did make me hungry for a bag of chips.
Yes, no kidding. I've never wanted chips more.
So go watch this movie. It is all over the place. It is now freely available, though once it was lost, now it is found.
That's right, yeah.
This movie was not hailed upon its release, and it took a while for people to catch on to the fact that it's kind of amazing and stuff.
Yeah. This movie was really kind of lost until the 90s, and then a dubbed VHS surfaced from like a 16 millimeter cut of it. And then Jack Hill, and I guess that kind of raised interest in it again, and then Jack Hill procured the original negative and released it himself. Because at that point it just wasn't copywritten, so he just kind of snuck under the radar and put it out himself.
Nice.
Yeah.
There's apparently a nice little documentary about this movie that's only available on the special edition DVD, which I only found out about not long enough ago to have actually gotten it delivered and watched it.
Yeah.
So there's good nuggets out there. Go find those nuggets and tell us about them.
Absolutely. There's some other funny things. The budget for this movie was $60,000.
That seems like a lot for back then.
I know. Lon Chaney got 2,500 of it, and then the rest of the actors received $100 a day.
Oh wow!
Which I guess that was their incentive to make it quickly.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is, by the way, $100 a day is how much it costs to rent Lon Chaney's character's Duesenberg that he drives.
Yeah, I was gonna pop that back there too.
As he is the chauffeur for the weird ass family.
This movie because I saw that car and I didn't know what it was called. This movie taught me that there is such a thing as the Internet Movie Car Database.
Oh, yes.
And so I was like, "Oh, okay, let's find out what that fucking scooter is called too."
Oh, that I am curious about.
We'll get there
Oh,
pretty
yes.
soon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It doesn't take a while to get to it.
Yeah, no kidding.
So go watch the movie.
Go watch the movie and then come back, and we're gonna have a lot of fun talking about it.
Yeah, and unless, of course, if the things that we said you're like, "Ooh, I don't want to watch that," then don't worry, we'll spoil all of it for you, and you'll get to hear our filtered version of what happens.
Yeah, I mean they try to be wacky, and but they're touching on some things like we had said also in Basket Case that are not particularly funny. So
Yeah,
if that's the kind of thing that makes you uncomfortable, then by all means don't watch.
yeah. I will say this movie did a better job of giving you some uncomfortable things up front, whereas
Yeah.
with Basket Case it like played keep away, and then at the end it was just really upsetting.
It opened its basket of horrible things.
Oh God, this movie's serious.
Dear Lord, I was not prepared for that.
Yeah. This one declines in seriousness until it's like a jump rope. Yeah, it gets less serious in the middle and then goes back up at the end.
That's right. It's the roller coaster of offensiveness.
Jesus. So go watch it or don't, and then come back, and we're going to ruin everything.
Yes.
John, ruin everything.
Everybody dies almost.
Yeah, except for everybody except for Peter and Anne. The
Peter and Anne,
very likable characters.
Yeah, who go on to, well, we'll get to that, but
yeah,
they survive, and everyone else does not.
Yeah,
literally everyone else.
Yeah,
well,
everyone else dead,
except the guy who blocks the road because they're dynamiting to build the highway or something. I guess he. Lived.
Yeah, the guy that had like a gunshot through the windshield of his car or whatever.
Yeah, what the hell?
I don't know. It looked like someone, like the passenger, got sniped.
Yeah. Probably another
Random.
movie. The car was used for another movie.
Nice. Straight off of the set of Sergeant York.
Double duty.
So this movie begins. Oh no!
It begins.
Oh, it's going to be that kind of episode. That's twice already. This movie begins with a Lon Chaney Jr. spoken word silly scary song accompanied by cartoon credits.
Yes, it certainly does. And wow.
It's very wow. It is very of a time, and I'm not sure what time it's of.
Yeah. It's been covered a few times. I forget by who, but I know that I believe it was a metal band covered it at one point.
That makes sense. I can also see this being a badass dubstep.
Yeah. Bass drop.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's pretty great. It's definitely telling you, hey, this is a movie and there's stuff, but also be laughing.
That's right. Always be laughing.
Yeah. So then once the song is over, which basically is a whole song about like eating people and stuff and bugs, it opens onto a frame narrative where we see some douche, and he is looking at the Dictionary of Rare and Peculiar Diseases and tells us about the Mary syndrome.
Yes, that's the crazy Mary family.
Yeah. Only the descendants of Ebenezer Mary get this thing, and it's a age regression problem that leads them to revert all the way back to the prenatal condition of inhuman savagery and cannibalism.
Yeah, that's the prenatal condition.
Yeah, it's like,
whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah. And he says, of course, there's no Mary syndrome anymore. It was extinguished forever. And then it gets all wavy and a transition occurs.
Yeah, we get a one of those without the sound.
And it opens on Mantan Moreland. Oh boy. And he is riding a motorcycle or something. It's very Marlon Brando looking. He's got sunglasses on, and he's just like got his little like Revan thing going.
Mm-hmm.
But then we see a bigger view of it, and it turns out instead of being on a awesome motorcycle, he's on a Cushman truckster.
Ah, nice.
Yes, a little. Well, we couldn't afford a real vehicle, so use this.
We got this weird delivery vehicle.
Yeah, it's the front of a motorcycle on the back of a shittier motorcycle with 3 wheels and a little tiny flatbed.
Very, very strange little vehicle.
Yeah. He's trying to find a place, which means who knows how far he's driven.
Yeah.
But he's trying to find the Mary house, and he sees some children and asks them if they know where that house is, and Jesus Christ, apparently their mother is not okay with this man talking to her children. I can't imagine why.
Well, my immediate reaction was the same, and but then later there's a bit where Lon Chaney's character, whose name is Bruno, Bruno tells a story about how some kids climbed over the fence and got on the property one time, and he was barely able to save them before the kids got to them. So I'm wondering if that was what it was about. I'm hoping that's what it was, and not because he's a black man. But
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Mantan Moreland, I guess we should go ahead on do a little aside about Mantan Moreland.
Yes.
He is most famous for being Birmingham Brown on the Charlie Chan movies.
Yeah.
And how to say the things.
He was also a stand-up comedian.
Yeah, stand-up comedian. He was basically out of work from the mid-40s to this point because he was famous for playing comedic African-American roles as a scared and slow-witted caricature, basically.
Yeah. Speaking of problematic.
Yeah, and apparently at a certain point in the mid to late 40s, that fell out of favor in America. I didn't realize that was when anything like that happened.
Well, yeah, if this movie's any indication, it came back.
Yep. So he ended up unemployed for a long time because he was basically a symbol of that caricature in Hollywood. And this movie came kind of around his he had a later in life resurgence in his career.
Yeah. I like that his career was blacklisted because white people felt bad.
Yeah. White people felt guilty about stuff. Therefore, this guy can't have jobs.
Yeah, this guy starves.
Yeah. It's an entire topic that I am not qualified to speak on.
Well, yeah, nor I.
But yeah, go read about him and stuff. It's interesting, and a few years after this movie came out, he died of a sudden brain aneurysm. Dead.
Wow.
Yeah, sucks.
Now, Mantan Moreland is in more recent times probably fairly familiar to a lot of our listeners who don't even realize, much as I didn't until I had actually looked this up a long time ago and then forgot about it. And then I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and this subject came up, and I looked it up, and I was like, oh, it's this guy, Mantan Moreland. And then I forgot about it again, like an idiot. And then we were watching this movie, and all of a sudden it dawns on me that this is the same guy who is used on a sample on the Beastie Boys record with the infamous line, "If I knew it was going to be that kind of party, I would have stuck my dick in the mashed potatoes." One of the greatest lines of all time.
Amazing.
It's so good. Oh my God.
Oh, it must have been a great routine.
It's pretty impressive.
So this is him, and he is delivering an official letter to the Mary family.
Mm-hmm.
So he finally makes his way down the street, which it seems strange that he would, because it's just some weird little side road.
And he has no idea how to get there either.
Yeah, he doesn't know how to get there. This is way back before GPS, and it made me realize, wow, everything must have just sucked way more back then.
Yeah, he's basically just riding through the California countryside trying to find some house that's clearly like already. I mean, he's already off the beaten path, and then this house is off of that beaten path.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. It's not good. But he finds the gate. They have a chained up gate with a sign that says "Mary House."
Mm-hmm.
And just as he gets up to it, his motorcycle dies. The chain on the gate just falls off whenever he touches it, and he's I guess the idea is that he is comically afraid.
Yeah, he's doing the really yeah, it's very
Mhm.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, I am white, and I this makes me uncomfortable.
Yes. Like, wow, this is so bad.
Yep. He goes up to the house and asks, hollers if people are inside, and then sticks his head through a open window and asks if anyone is in there. Then, of course, the window slams down onto him, having him kind of trapped inside. At which point, a young woman comes out. She has large knives and a silly little net, and is talking about spider stuff, and throws her net on him, and then begins slashing his head over and over and over again.
That's right. It was so crazy. Caught you in my spider web, and now the spider gives you a big sting.
Yep. Yep.
And then every time she's stabbing him, sting, sting, sting,
Mhm.
sting.
Yeah, she's having a great time. He is making almost no noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very strange. We can see his legs flailing. We see the only piece of gore that we see is his ear, and the flap of skin around it falls onto the floor.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not plastic. We know that.
It looks so real.
It was remarkable. I clearly also a direct influence on David Lynch in Blue Velvet.
Oh.
I mean, I don't, maybe it was because they find an ear.
And yeah, but so we don't see all of the cuts, but we do see her just swinging over and over again. So that shit is wrecked.
Yeah, and I think you hear the
Yeah.
knife sound. And this character is Virginia. She's the brunette of the sisters,
Mm-hmm.
and she will be modeling the two knife combo.
Yes. Yeah, she is the one that's super into playing spider and stinging things with her knife fangs.
Yeah, she had to be. I forget what her age is here. She's got to be just super young.
The
Her
actress was 17.
Was she 17? Okay, that's right. Yeah, the actress's name is Jill Banner, and she was later became Marlon Brando's one of his ladies.
Yes. Yes, and she was working with him when she died tragically in a car accident. She was hit by a drunk driver.
Yeah, she's only 35.
Yeah.
It was a shame. I think she had gotten out of acting, right? She had kind of left Hollywood for a while, and then she came back doing some more work inside the business, less as an actor, I think.
Yep. Yeah. A lot of these people didn't go on to long acting careers.
Yeah. Only one person in this movie who has a celebrated acting career.
Is that Peter?
That would be Lon Chaney.
Oh yeah.
Lon Chaney Jr. Anyway.
Lon Chaney Jr. Although this was near the end of that.
Yes. Yeah. He was clearly about to sweat to death.
Yes. I'm gonna need another beer and an empty beer bottle for the sweat.
Dear God.
So while she's doing all of this, her sister comes in and she's like, Virginia, no, you're bad. Bruno is going to hate you. And then she gives a little smug head tilt look that becomes her signature throughout the film.
That's right. She's a very strange person.
Yeah. Very expressive.
Yeah.
So her sister is Elizabeth. She's Virginia. Virginia's expression through this movie is almost never different. It's just kind of like a blank staring off into the middle distance.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Elizabeth is always doing all kinds of full range expression nonsense.
Elizabeth is very acty.
Yes. We see transitions. We see Lon Chaney Jr. is driving the Duesenberg J. he notices the scooter on his way through the gate that the car can just barely fit through.
I know.
and he what and you can, like, when he gets out of the car, you can already see like his hair sticking to the back of his neck, like,
Yeah,
just,
it's drenched.
yeah, scene one, sweaty.
Scene one, covered in baby oil.
And he asks them about what's going on. He sees the guy sticking out of the fucking window.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth tattles on Virginia, and he said, "You should hate her." And then he's like, "I told you, it's not nice to hate."
That's right. He's such a good influence on them.
Yeah, what a great man.
Oh my God. And then Virginia runs to the car because she wants to see Ralph.
Yeah, apparently they forgot Ralph in the car.
Who has died of heat exhaustion.
Yeah, and they open up the car, and Ralph is Sid Haig.
Ralph is a one Sid Haig.
Yeah. None other than one entire Sig Haig, and he is enormous and bald and terrifying.
Really scary looking.
He was terrifying.
Wearing like some sort of fucking Huck Finn short pants or whatever. I don't. What the fuck is he wearing?
I kind of hoped you would know what his outfit words were, because I didn't.
Oh Jesus! Then later he's dressed like some sort of weird fucking gaucho or something.
Like a weird like Little Rascal school child.
Like he plays tambourine in Jack White's band.
Oh my God. I didn't realize that Sid Haig could be more terrifying than in his later career. This is the beginning of his career, and he is just a monster.
He's so horrible. I mean, he's great, but the character is the worst.
Oh yeah, the character is the worst. Sid Haig, amazing. Great job. Rest in power.
Rest in power, Sid. You sick man.
They have a whole thing. He sits them all down to talk about this and the time that Virginia almost killed those children, and how they have to behave whenever he has to take Ralph into town to go to the doctor. And he tells Virginia she can never play Spider ever again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Ralph is digging around on the dead body and pulls out the letter. And they're like, "Hey, let's see that." And that's when we find out, we've got some secrets to keep today, children, because the people are coming.
That's right. They've got relatives that are going to come, and the children, so to speak, will be their guardian, or they will be their children's guardians.
Yep. So they have to shove the wrapped body down the dumbwaiter, and
the hand crank dumbwaiter. That thing's awesome.
Yeah, it was really good, and I don't really understand all of the dumbwaiter business, but it was a really good set piece for this movie.
Yeah, it was kind of almost a centerpiece, and Ralph really likes the dumbwaiter.
Yeah, Ralph just folds himself up and goes up and down in the dumbwaiter.
Sid Haig, pistolero contortionist.
Then we get a whole scene of them mopping up the mess, and it for a black and white movie, it did a really good job of communicating just how disgusting mop water can be.
That's right. It really came across.
Yeah. Great cinematography on that disgusting mop water. We don't really see it, like they don't like show it, I guess, because it looked so fake. But what's her nuts? Virginia picks up the ear and puts it in a box for later.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to watch Uncle Ned do his thing, but they're not supposed to, and we figure out that Uncle Ned is down where the dumbwaiter goes, and he sounds all groany.
Yeah, like that wasn't creepy at all.
Yeah, so Uncle Ned makes groaning noises, and there's also meowing sounds
Mm-hmm.
and piggy noises.
Yeah, that's right.
And we find out that in addition to Uncle Ned being in the basement, there's also Aunt Clara and
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Martha.
Yeah.
They're down there with Uncle Ned, but we don't get to see them right now.
We don't see them. We just hear their animalistic sounds.
Yeah. Terrifying.
Yeah, that's really horrible.
Transition to Aunt Emily and Uncle Peter. They're in a 1963 Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz.
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 Nice.
Sure. It's a very nice car.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, they are cousins of our Mary family, and according to Emily, Peter doesn't have ideas.
Yeah. Emily is kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
And Peter is kind of a adultish but harmless, nice guy.
Yeah, like some sort of just mediocre white person that gets rewarded unfairly.
First time ever.
Well, all this wealth just landed in my lap. Oops.
I was nice to people and got rewarded for it.
Yeah, I couldn't pick up on cues.
That's right.
So they get there. They're at the gate. The lawyer isn't there yet, and she makes fun of him for being chicken because he doesn't want to go and he wants to wait. He says it's not right to just go barging in on someone you're about to sue.
Mm-hmm.
Then she goes up to the house, sticks her head in the same window as Matt and Moreland did, and just barely escapes the window coming down on her. And then she looks to her right, and there is enormous Ralph looming at her with all the teeth.
That's right, pointing and just being very Ralphish.
Yeah, just horrifying man. So she runs back to the car and declares there was a baboon.
Oh God, yeah, that's right.
Did you take note of his response?
No, I can't remember what it was.
Oh, he says, well, let's not have a double duck fit.
Oh, nice.
Because what the fuck, this movie?
Yeah, a double duck fit.
Was that a saying back then?
I guess so. I'm not familiar with it.
A double duck fit.
Duck fit?
Nice. Great jokes.
Yeah.
And then it changes. We see Bruno is driving a horrible lawyer man with a Hitler mustache and his assistant in the Duesenberg or Dusseldorf. I don't know what it's called now. Duesenberg. And there's a whole bunch of business. They pull over to the side of the road. There's a bunch of business about whose job it is to roll down the window that separates the front seat from the back seat.
Oh, that's like this zany back and forth that goes on for way too long.
It takes a long time of back and forth. And finally, the assistant has to tell Mr. Schlocker that actually the little handle to roll down the window is back here with us.
Yeah.
So that finally gets resolved after a very long time. We find out that they have to wait here because they are making explosions happen up ahead to make way for that new highway coming through.
And I'd just like to point out here, what is the point of this whole like block the highway thing? What does this have to do with the story?
Well, you see, there has to be a reason later in the movie for there to just be some explosives laying around.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Otherwise, who could say? Just to set the tone for people not getting Mr. Schlocker's name right?
Oh my God. Couldn't Bruno have just, or whoever wanted the explosives, just kept them hidden somewhere just in case?
Yeah, like near a hot water heater.
Yeah, and then cut out the whole. Okay, well, anyways, who cares?
Yeah. It also opens the door for him to have to go all the way somewhere to get the explosives.
That's true.
Yeah.
Get him out of the house for a second so that more things can happen.
More horrible things can happen. So let's see.
As they start talking about the kids and the situation, and that's the R word starts getting thrown around way too much.
Yes, and a full explanation. He says, "You see, these the kids are you might call them retarded. And he's like, well, I guess so, considering, that they've never been to school. And he's like, no, it's not like that, guy.
Jeez, that's very awkward.
It's very uncomfortable.
Yes.
Don't worry, the movie's not done being uncomfortable.
No. This is just a warm-up.
Yeah. So it's like a whole, like, he's trying to explain it, but trying to explain it by not just coming out and saying things.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. There's a whole thing where he's like, well, we appreciate your assistance, and I think that, it's important not to forget the people that helped move things along, to which Bruno is very confused. Then they all get there, and everyone gets out, and Emily and Peter meet Mr. Schlocker and Anne, who is the assistant, and Bruno asks them all to act nice and don't encourage the kids, otherwise they might act wild.
Mm-hmm. And then Bruno comes up in the dumbwaiter to greet them, and
Ralph.
Ralph.
I would love to see Lon Chaney Jr. just pour out of that thing. Slide out like a giant, horrible womb baby.
Like a greasy jellyfish. Yeah. So introductions all around.
Yep. Everyone gets to meet everyone else.
Yes. The kids are horrified of these visitors, and the visitors are horrified of the children, except for Peter.
Yeah. Peter thinks this is great.
Yeah. Peter's like, he's down to clown.
Yep. When Ralph comes up the dumbwaiter and unfolds himself, he's like, "Oh, it's just a big kid. This is great.
What a clever way to get around." Just a big kid. Just an enormous kid.
A huge, unfolding, horrible monster child.
I never realized that Sig Haig was 700 feet tall.
That's when we get the first of many speeches about how Bruno gave their father a solemn oath that he has to just keep talking about over the course of this movie.
Mm-hmm. The whole regressive disease, the Mary disease, and inbreeding, and blah, blah, blah.
Yep. And I'll never let their malady become the object of public scrutiny. And
like, for instance, in a movie.
Yeah. And that's when you see the three kids over in the corner with Ralph still in the dumbwaiter, and one of them's like, "They're talking about us," and the other one says, "I know." And then they're talking about other stuff, and it goes back to them, and they're like, "They're talking about Uncle Ned," and the other one goes, "I know."
Yeah.
It's sufficiently creepy.
Yeah, they're creepy. They're haughty.
Yeah. Yep. We find out that he says Uncle Ned's in a more private institution.
Yeah, the basement.
Yeah. All sorts of things get going on, and
well, we discover that the gang is going to spend the night, much to Bruno's shock.
Yeah, he's, you can't stay for dinner. Our diet is so austere.
Yeah. He was right about that.
Yeah. So we find out that Virginia can sense bugs and eat them because she's out in the lawn, and she is like, "Ooh, I think there's a bug underneath that rock."
Yes, and the giant mushroom-covered lawn.
Yeah, horrible lawn.
Yeah.
And so while she is hunting for mushrooms and bugs, we see Ralph hunts and kills a cat.
Yeah. Because they need something to eat for dinner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they need meat to serve the guests.
Oh, boy.
So that's when, so it moves to dinner, and this dinner scene is like, if you will, the meat and potatoes of this movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
We see Ralph comes up the dumbwaiter wearing his horrible little, like, schoolboy outfit. Bruno is congratulating Virginia for doing so well. Peter thinks this is all great.
Yeah. He's just tickled.
Yeah. Virginia goes and feeds her tarantulas so that they won't come out during dinner.
Yeah. Winifred, I think she says, one of them.
Winifred and Barney.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And then when they all sit down, Ralph is sitting across from Schlocker and just making direct eye contact.
And wearing a bib, by the way.
Yeah, wearing a bib. Oh yeah, we forgot to mention, whenever they got out of the car, you get to see just how insignificantly tiny Mr. Schlocker is.
Yeah, he looks like a child with a Hitler mustache and his cigar.
Yeah, he like tops out at 4'9" maybe, and he just looks really great standing next to Ralph and Lon Chaney.
Oh, and fun factoid: the actor's name is Carl Schanzer.
Okay.
And he was apparently the inspiration for Francis Ford Coppola's The Conversation.
Oh,
which is a great film. Oh. And apparently, because he and one of the other actresses, Mary Mitchell, the one that plays Anne Morris, they were both in Dementia 13.
Oh,
Coppola's horror film. Mm-hmm. And so he was friends with Carl Schanzer was friends with Coppola, and he had also worked for some time as a private investigator, and he had told some of his crazy stories to Coppola, and apparently was partially the inspiration for The Conversation.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know.
That's awesome.
Pretty cool, actually, because that's one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, and I guess it's worth noting that this dude, I don't remember his name already.
Mr. Schlocker?
No, Jack Hill.
Jack
Hill was college buddies with Francis Ford Coppola, and they did a lot of work together back in the day.
God, that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyways, with tiny Mr. Schlocker is being difficult at the dinner table.
Yep. They say dinner is served. That's when they see the roast cat. And then there is speculation about what it is. No one ever confirms what it is, but Peter is just like, no, that's great. I'll carve.
Yeah, he's like, it's rabbit, obviously.
Yeah. That's when you can see the severe like sweat circles on Lon Chaney's shirt.
Oh.
We find out that the family is vegetarian, and Elizabeth's like, we don't eat dead things, and the two sisters share a smug look.
Yeah, that's right. Because Bruno's explanation is that it accelerates their regression or something like that.
Yep. Eating flesh hastens the progress of the condition.
And then, of course, Bruno immediately starts eating.
Yeah. And as soon as they're done carving up the cat, Ralph grabs the what's left of it and just starts eating it directly into his face.
It was so great. and Bruno's explanation is he can eat whatever he catches.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. Which makes what happens later questionable until a little bit after that, when you're like, oh, okay.
Yes. Oh, man.
Yeah. Now it's questionable in a different way.
Yeah.
So other than Peter and a little bit Anne just gets like a little slice of the cat. Peter serves himself some cat, and then Ralph eats the rest of it. Other than that, they have other things to eat, like souffled fungi.
Souffled fungi.
Yeah, which it grows profusely on the grounds, which we saw earlier.
But rest assured, Virginia picks the non-poisonous ones.
Schlocker's got the huge serving tray of like gross mushrooms, and of course Peter's like, come on, Schlocker, don't hog the stuff.
Yeah, because clearly it's delicious.
Yeah, so they serve it around, and the girls, he serves the girls say thank you. He looks to Schlocker, he's like, see, they're polite. At this point, Ralph just reaches into the bowl for handfuls of souffled fungi.
I like the bowl of garden greens.
Yes.
It's just hay.
It's just huge wads of dry twigs and grass. That's the undressed salad.
Bruno's like, fresh garden greens?
Oh, what a horrible meal. Somewhere in here, Emily gets fed up and pulls out a bag of chips, rips it open, and just starts crunching away.
Oh, my God.
That was the point where I was like, there's got to be some chips in this house. I need chips. That looks amazing.
And then the girls are eating some black stuff with like a bug in it or something. And the one thing Peter didn't want to eat.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I don't think so. I think it was just Virginia eats the gross bug slop.
Okay.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
Yeah, because all throughout this movie, anytime any of the times that Virginia eats spiders, Elizabeth thinks that's gross,
Yeah.
and that spiders shouldn't eat other spiders.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. They have a whole conversation about staying the night, and Bruno doesn't think that that's good for all of these reasons that he won't quite say. And Anne says he means they're vampires.
Yeah. No, not quite.
And of course, then Peter is into this, and that's where this movie gets its weird little thing. Is, are you a horror film fan, Miss Morris?
That was great.
Yeah, she loves Dracula. She loves Frankenstein. She loves the mummy, and she even does he does the. I love the way he walks, the step scrape.
That's right.
And then she brings up the Wolfman and does a whole growly face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice little reference to Lon Chaney.
Yep. Yep. And that's when it switches over. We see Bruno. He's like, "There's going to be a full moon tonight."
That's right. It's so ridiculous.
It's real weird. The music at that point tenses up, and we go to a shot of Ralph, who's got a mouthful of cat, and both of his hands he's just like holding the cat corpse, and has his face full of meat, and is staring directly into the camera while chewing.
A beautiful shot.
It is a beauty. Then it switches over to Elizabeth, who stares into the camera knowingly with a smirk. And then it moves over to Virginia, who stares into the camera while crunching down a spoonful of spider slop.
Yeah, this is the point at which we realize that Peter and Anne are kind of, hey.
Yeah, because then it pans over to them, and they're watching all of this happen, and they're like, okay.
How about we bone?
Yeah, let's go bone instead. Anne decides maybe she shouldn't stay here tonight, and they come up with a plan that Peter will take her into town to find a motel.
Yeah.
So they leave at that point, right?
Yeah, they take off. They're going to get drunk.
Deuces.
Hit bars, I think they said, and then stay in a hotel or something.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Because he's like, hey, would you like to get a beer at the inn? And she was like, yes, and how about a sandwich?
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But not before they have a whole conversation about spiders, and Virginia asks Uncle Peter if he likes spiders. And, oh, sure. And would you like to play spider with me? And he said, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah. Famous last words.
Yeah. And let's see. We see Schlocker spying on Ralph as Ralph tries to take the leftovers down the dumbwaiter.
Mm-hmm. Ralph sees him.
Yeah. And just pretends that that's not what he was doing.
Yeah, that's great. Ralph's pretty clever, that one.
Yeah, he's on the ball. He gets a big old smile about it. It's terrifying. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he is.
Awesome.
He's horrific.
Let's see. That's whenever Elizabeth and Virginia have a whole conversation outside of their dad's bedroom about how Elizabeth's like, I hate them. Virginia thinks Mr. Schlocker looks like a big fat bug.
Mm-hmm.
And then Elizabeth asks if Virginia thinks that is playing spider any fun, and she's like, oh, you bet. Then they go to kiss Dad goodnight, and we see that their dad is a skeleton with hair, wearing jammies, laying down in a bed.
That's right. Daddy in his jammies. Skeletal dad.
It's real weird. I'm not exactly sure why that detail is there.
It was strange.
Yeah, and the whole plot of this movie revolves around the fact that guy is dead, right? Because they're doing his estate.
I don't really know if that's what precipitated it, but I mean that would make sense, except that he's clearly been dead for a very long time.
I guess maybe at a certain point he was finally legally dead.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Who knows?
Yeah. So Schlocker goes snooping around. including a bunch of silly business where there's all of these taxidermied animals, but then he gets scared because one thing that he thought was a taxidermied owl was an alive owl, and it spooks him.
Yeah, and there's like blood splatter all over the walls, it looks like.
Yeah.
Or spatter or whatever.
Yeah, it depends.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on how it gets there.
Yeah, that's what it looks like anyway.
Yeah.
We see Emily bars her bedroom before she gets ready for bed.
I wouldn't say that's what she does.
Well, but as in like strips down.
Yeah.
So she's in her just in her bra, and she's got her skirt on still, but she's playing with she's playing with clothes that she's found in the closet.
Oh, is that where she got them from?
I think so.
Okay. I didn't catch that deet.
But I mean, maybe they were her clothes and she had hung them in there. I have no idea. But she's dancing. She's doing it's kind of one of those things where she's dancing around in the mirror with someone else's clothing on. That always kind of do that in movies.
Yeah, and it is. In case you were worried, yes, it is lingerie, including a like clear black lace cape.
Yeah, it was, which just happens to go perfectly with the lingerie she's already wearing.
Yeah, so she is she has gone from barring herself into the room to just traipsing around in lingerie in the bedroom, checking herself out.
Yeah, it's pretty. Apparently, she got over her discomfort very quickly.
Yeah. Oh, this place is great.
Yeah.
And we see that Ralph has Spider-Man'd down, where he is now upside down in her window and is spying on her, being all lingeried out.
Yeah, which is great because apparently for that scene they had his ankles tied and they were just dangling him in front of the window.
Great.
And he hated it and was panicking, so they had to do it as quickly as possible.
Good. Jesus. Yeah, it's like, I do not believe that we're doing great work here.
Yeah, he was not happy to be hung upside down.
Wow. And he just continued to go on and do every single movie that this director ever did for the rest of his career.
I know. No shit.
So let's see. We find Mr. Schlocker continues his snooping. He finds the ear and just is like, puts it back.
Yeah.
He makes his way down, figures out the hidden door trick, and makes his way down to the really, really badass basement.
Yeah, this whole section of him sneaking around the house is very like 50s haunted housey.
Yep.
Very much that kind of feel. It's got the music is super dramatic, and I mean, if at that moment it could easily have been one of those movies.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, anyways, he ends up in the coolest basement ever.
Yeah, all of it, like every column arches over to the next column. It's awesome. Cobwebs everywhere.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, you think Vincent Price is probably going to have a pendulum set up in a corner?
Correct.
Yeah. Let's see. Then there's this whole thing where he sees the extended family down in the little like sub-cellar area, and Virginia and Elizabeth are looming over him, blocking the stairways up.
Yeah, that was great. They're backlit, so they're only in silhouette.
Yeah, you just see the shape of their hair.
Yeah, that was a really cool shot.
Yeah. And he starts protesting, saying that this is beyond the bounds of good taste.
Yeah.
And then you're right. That is it was an interesting lighting choice, and it continues like this is where lighting gets real weird in the movie. All of a sudden the light flashes on their faces, and they are like, he's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
And so the whole time he's just whining and saying, there are procedures for this kind of thing. Things can be litigated.
I know.
Meanwhile, Virginia is stabbing him with knives, and Elizabeth goes to get the pitchfork and pitchforks him all the way to death.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great scene. Yeah, meanwhile, the aunts and uncles are like reaching up from below the floor to grab at his feet and junk.
Yeah, I like that part. I loved his line. This isn't right. There are proper procedures.
Yeah. The whole time, this whole movie, we haven't mentioned it. This whole time, he's smoking long, thin cigars. Just will not be not smoking those cigars.
Yeah, they clearly don't want you to like him, but just in case you might like him a little bit, they gave him a Hitler mustache.
Yeah, yeah. And so even through all this, he still is chomping down on that cigar while yelling his protests.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Yeah, and it'll show up one more time, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Stabbed in pitchfork, Bruno sees his body go up the dumbwaiter. Yeah, this is it, where the cigar is still in his mouth, but it's like broken and twigged off.
Yeah, that was great. He's dead with his eyes open.
Yeah, and so like Bruno's on the main level, and he just hears the dumbwaiter going from the lower level up, and he just like looks over, and there's Mister Schlocker dead in the dumbwaiter, making its way all the way up to the third floor.
Yeah, he was gonna tell.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, please don't hate me. She made me do it.
And at this point, I'm now starting to fear for Lon Chaney Jr.'s life because he's clearly dehydrated, sweating. He's probably lost half his body weight in sweat. He's completely drenched at this point.
Yeah, it doesn't help that he refused to drink water, only gin for Lon Chaney.
Yeah, no kidding. He even wipes his own brow. It may be there.
Yeah. Yeah, he is one dripping fine actor.
And from here on out, everyone's pretty sweaty, but he, of course, is the winner.
Oh yeah, I guess it makes sense that they were like, you know what? If we're gonna run around outside, we have to be in nothing but underwear. Yeah. We cannot do layers. Give me a shift.
Yeah, the girls were wise. They were barely clothed. Emily, of course, took it to the extreme.
Yes, the extreme of gross lace skin tight to your body.
She looked like a 1950s lingerie model, just running around. Yeah, not gratuitous in any way.
No. And so they have this whole thing, and he says, "Don't worry, I'm not going to hate you. I told you it isn't nice to hate." He has a whole speech. It's very yes, Lon Chaney, moment to shine, actor man.
Yeah, I had already read about that in advance, so I was kind of wondering when that, waiting for that to happen. And he actually did do a pretty good job.
Oh yeah, he delivered.
And apparently, I don't know, did you read about the reaction to his acting in that scene from the crew and stuff?
Like about how everyone had to just like stop and applaud him?
Yeah, when he left the set after that scene, he got a standing ovation for 5 minutes from the crew.
Wow.
And everyone was crying.
Wow. Really?
Like, Jesus, how much weed were you guys smoking?
It's very hot. It's very hot.
Yeah, so it's just kind of wearing on your emotions.
Yeah, they're all on the cusp of heat stroke. That was the best acting they had ever seen.
Oh my God. It's so good. Later on, they're like, what the fuck was that? That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Let's wait 3 years before we put this movie out.
Let's just not put... There's proper procedures.
So yes, he promised their daddy he wouldn't let them take the kids away, and he promises that they'll be together forever. He tears up. I guess that's it, because he kicks ass at like tearing up, and like his character goes through an entire transition between being the caring chauffeur to like all of a sudden having a revelation about what must happen.
Yeah, I think he was pretty much revered on set because those people do, I mean, they obviously knew who he was. He was in a different league from everyone that was probably there. Oh, and yeah. Seeing him actually, put his heart into a scene in a movie as ridiculous as Spider Baby. And like you said, it was hot as hell. Everybody was probably exhausted. I think it was just kind of one of those things where they were like, slow clap.
Yeah, this is good. Someone get that man 5 towels.
Get that man 5 towels and some Gatorade.
Yeah. They're like, that might be the last line he ever delivers.
We're going to be famous.
Yep. And so he leaves. He says he knows where there's a nice new toy that'll do a wonderful thing, and you can all stay up late to see it, but I have to go get it, so don't get in any more trouble while I'm gone.
Yeah, go look at the rabbits, George.
Yes, yeah. At this point, it transitions back to upstairs where Emily is wearing her lingerie, And she goes to the window to be like, hey, what's that? And that's when she sees Ralph Bat spying on her, and goes for a nice little run in her lingerie.
Yeah.
And she sees them pulling Schlocker out of the dumbwaiter, to which she says, Schlocker!
That was great.
Yeah.
By the way, at this point, the movie is in complete bonkers mode.
Oh, yeah. The instant Lon Chaney leaves the scene, everything falls apart.
Yeah, all hell is broken. All cinematic hell is broken loose.
Yeah. It just goes all the way. So she runs out of the house, and they're going to chase her. And the music like catches up to the whole thing. There's just random dog barking going on.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah.
Dog, coyote sounds.
Yeah.
Very clearly a day for night shot, which is awesome. I love day for night shots.
Yep. And then a whole bunch of scenes of just her like traipsing around in a field, and then a completely different shot of the other two girls traipsing around in the same field.
Which made me think that as I was watching, how wonderful it would be, because if I made this movie, I would make that scene 3 hours long. Yeah. So just a regular movie, and then 3 hours of them chasing her around in the dark for no reason.
Yep.
Just to be a dick.
So they chase her, and they're chasing her. They're looking for her. They're calling their name. And then we see her, and of course they're both in like their like lacy nightgowns, and she's in her lingerie. And we zoom in on her, and she gets grabbed by Ralph, and Ralph grabs her and pushes her down to the ground where it's below the camera line. Then Virginia walks up and looks down to where they are, and she goes, "Hey, Liz." And that's it.
Yeah. And that was the moment where I'm like, is he eating her?
Yeah.
Is he raping her?
Yeah.
Whatever's going on, it's terrible.
It's not good. And you would like, I feel like the movie implied that he's eating her because, you know, he gets to eat whatever he catches.
Right.
But nope.
Nope.
That's not
he wasn't eating her.
Nope.
Do the math.
Yeah. Then we move back, and it's Peter and Anne. Thank God.
Yes, drunk as hell.
Yeah, they are both wasted and operating a motor vehicle.
Yeah, that's pretty great. Peter's impression of being drunk is hilarious.
Yeah, it's great. He says one of my favorite lines of the movie. Are you really a Wolfman fan, Anne?
That's right.
She says, "Oh yes, I think that's how every man should be, like a wild beast." Great line to follow up what we had just seen. Thank you.
They pull into the parking lot of a hotel because they're getting ready to fuck.
Mm-hmm.
And it's full.
Yep. Every hotel and motel and Holiday Inn is without vacancy.
Yeah, out in the middle of nowhere in California, packed.
Yep. And so they decide to turn around, to which they almost completely obliterate Bruno driving his car because Peter is drunk. Yeah. And Bruno is gleefully sad driving.
That's right. He's crying.
Yeah, he's just so delighted through his sobbing tears and driving. And it goes back to the house. The girls are playing mumbly jigsaw.
Yeah, I didn't know what the hell was going on there.
They've got the jigsaw pieces out, and Virginia is just stabbing one jigsaw puzzle piece at a time.
And then isn't Emily eating them? I mean, Elizabeth, isn't she eating them?
I think she might be eating them, and Virginia catches a spider and eats it. That's when Elizabeth is like, spiders shouldn't eat other spiders.
Yeah, that's right.
Virginia's like, cannibal spiders do.
Jeez.
And in the back of the scene, we see that apparently Ralph is quite tired, so he has folded himself up in the fetal position, face down on the couch behind them,
with
and
his butt sticking up in the air.
yeah, his ass is just up. There's a rip in his shorts where you can see his underwear underneath, and uh, Virginia is like, "Hey, that's just the right size for me to shove my knife in."
Oh God,
So
that
there's
wasn't disturbing.
yeah, there's just this whole elongated scene of her thinking about shoving her knife into his ass, and then like slowly moving the knife up to shove her knife into his ass. But at that very moment, Peter and Anne show up, so she gets distracted.
Yeah,
They're
very sweaty, both of them.
yeah, everyone's super sweaty except for Ralph. I don't think he has sweat glands.
No, no, Ralph doesn't have sweat glands.
Yeah.
That's it's one of his things.
Yeah, he's baby powder smooth all the time. They realize that Peter and Anne will tell on them. So what do we do? And Elizabeth says that we'll have to come up with a plan. And when she says that, they shine a spotlight on her face, and we hear a wolf howl.
Yeah,
It's very strange.
yeah,
Yeah. Um. When they get in, they keep telling them, "Oh, I'm glad." Oh, they meet them at the door. That's right. They meet them at the door, and each of them has like the skirt of their like nightgown up in one hand,
mm-hmm.
and
The same pose. Yeah,
yeah, they're in the same pose. And whenever Peter and Anne come up, they go, "Good evening, Uncle Peter."
that's right. That was not creepy at all.
No, and his response is, "Uh-huh."
That's right. They immediately have this plan to separate them and take Anne to Daddy's room.
Yeah, yeah, and talk about how much she likes her and how pretty, calling her pretty lady, and you'd never tell. So they get Anne into Daddy's room, at which point Ralph pops out from behind the door and grabs her and covers her mouth and rips her shirt open.
Yeah, sure did.
Good stuff. Good stuff, movie.
Jesus.
We switch and we see Bruno stealing the explosives.
Mm-hmm.
It goes back, and it seems that Virginia is in the process of tying up Pete, who has drunkenly agreed to play Spider.
Yeah, much like in the original Thing, when what's her nuts ties up the captain in their little drunken game.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
I did too until this very moment.
Great. It turns out that Virginia is much better at tying men up than that lady was.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because he can't get out, and slowly starts panicking. He even like before he really starts panicking, he's like, "How long does it take to play this game?"
That's right. Then she gives us all this juices will taste better thing and all this.
Yeah, that was super cringy. I didn't like that.
No, it was very uncomfortable.
Yeah. Then she over his shoulder, like behind him, she sees Ralph taking Anne down the dumbwaiter.
Oh, that's right.
And she goes, I guess I have to sting you now, and does her whole like spider pose where she's got her hands crossed underneath her chin and one knife sticking up alongside either end of her face.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he starts to panic, and he goes, "Mr. Schlocker!"
Yeah, a little late to the party, my friend.
Yeah. Elizabeth summons Virginia away, and she's like, "Don't go away, Bug." And at this point, he's like, "All right, I got to get out of this." But he just very slowly tries to do anything and fails.
Yeah, it's his like 45-minute attempt to get out of the chair.
Yeah. For almost the entire rest of the movie, he will be trying to get out of the chair.
After 500 cutscenes.
Yeah. Of him just yeah. So we go downstairs. It turns out that Ralph has Anne, but he can't let her go, otherwise she'll scream or get away or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to figure out what to do about it, and it's like Virginia's like, "Well, I thought you had a plan," and Elizabeth says that her plan didn't get this far.
Yeah, she says something about how spiders draining the vital juices again.
Yeah, more juice talk.
Yeah, she's really into the juice.
Yeah, she has reached the juice talk stage of regression.
Yeah.
And so they decide that they are going to let her bleed just enough that it will quiet her down so that Ralph can play with her better.
Jeez.
Great.
Yeah.
Oof.
Let's get a saw.
Yeah, yes. Get a saw. And she just keeps almost chopping her own hand with it.
It's like, oh no, is she really going to cut her leg off?
Yeah. At this point, Emily wakes up in a field and walks all the way back to the house. Comes in, walks past Peter, who is tied up and asking for help, and makes her way down to the basement and attacks Ralph. I wonder why.
Well, but the weird thing is when she wakes up in the yard, she's asking for Ralph, and it sounds like it's almost affectionately, which freaked me out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and this was another point that I wanted to bring up, is that I was torn at this point as to whether or not they were implying that she had somehow fallen in love with Ralph.
Ugh,
And
yikes.
because when she gets into the cellar, she sees him holding Anne, and that's when she freaks out and attacks him.
Oh, God.
So I thought, is that supposed to be out of jealousy? Because only I can be raped by Ralph. It was horrible.
Oh, God.
Yeah, that was troublesome for me.
Oh, that makes more sense because I've read a lot of people talk about the highly tasteless rape joke in this movie, and I've been trying to decipher what exactly it is. I bet that's it.
Yeah, I think that's it. Because she wakes up and she's like, Ralph, like she sounds like she wants him. It was horrible.
Oh, God.
And I was like, oh God, don't tell me they're going down this road. And then she walks in, and then when she attacked him, my first reaction was, oh, okay, she attacked him because she saw him. I guess she really did she was calling his name because she wanted to hurt him. But then I thought about it again, and I went back and watched that little bit again, and I realized that as soon as she sees him holding Anne, she freaks the fuck out and attacks.
Tell us the answer at Loathsome Pod on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
I know.
What a horrible thing.
Yeah, well, we didn't make it. We're just talking about it.
That's true. I didn't. I am just now realizing that, though. Wow.
I know. It's pretty intense.
Wow.
Takes a lot of the fun out of the movie, to say the least.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Wind out of those sails. So while that's going on, Peter is upstairs and he's trying to get the knife. He knocks over the thing and he knocks over his chair and he's trying to get the knife, but there are spiders on it, and that makes it even more difficult for him.
Yeah.
Bruno comes back with the explosives and apparently also walks right past Peter.
Yeah, but I like how everyone's just forgotten about Peter.
Yeah, he's just tied up, having a hard time with spiders. And Emily it switches back to the basement, and Emily is grabbed by the feet by the aunts and uncles under the floor, and they grab her and pull her down, to which we see Elizabeth make a comical yikes face at the camera.
I know, that was so stupid. And there were one of them looks like the Wolf Man, which I thought was funny. And
yeah, you don't really get a really good look at most of them, but I think they're all supposed to be Wolfman looking.
I guess so. Yes, they were all excessively hirsute.
Yeah. It would have been cool if one looked like the Wolfman and one looked like the Mummy.
All the Universal monsters are in the cellar.
Yeah, one Frankenstein. And so she gets pulled down and supposedly eaten.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Bruno comes downstairs and he says, "Hello, children," and they tell her that the lady hurt Ralph, and that's they have a whole conversation about how it's not going to hurt anymore. And at this point, Peter crashes down the stairs after Bruno has lit the fuse on the dynamite.
That's right. Bruno, I like that there's this wacky scene of Bruno trying to hide the dynamite or something.
Yeah. Yeah, oh, and he's trying to like blow it out and
That's
like
right.
stop the fuse from going because he's like, oh no, sir, I don't know how you got yourself into this situation.
Yeah, you need to leave now.
Yeah, you need to hurry. So Peter grabs Anne and rushes her away, and so they're just all sitting in the basement together, and the girls are asking, what is it? What's it gonna do? He says it's gonna make a big flash and go bang, and Virginia goes, oh boy. But looking completely dead inside while doing
Yes.
it. It's a very, very distractingly strange acted scene. That's when we see the family come out of the basement. They look like werewolves. One has like a wad of putty over one of their eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I put looks like werewolves, kind of.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Disgusting werewolves.
Yeah. That's when there's an explosion, and it fades back to Peter, who is the douche from the beginning of the movie, in the frame narrative.
He's got his book again.
Yeah, he's got his book again. I think like a pipe or some shit.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he's the only surviving member of the family. That's how the whole Mary family syndrome was extinguished. And since he was the last one, he's inherited everything and is rich.
That's right. He's married to Anne, I assume, right? That's Anne, isn't it?
That's Anne. She's over there mixing cocktails for her husband like a good wife in this era.
Jeez.
And they had a daughter who is creepy and looks like Sig Haig.
And lovely Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica. And so he's like, so yeah, we're there. That Mary syndrome was extinguished forever. My own family never suffered from the curse. The daughter goes outside. She looks creepy, looks up into a tree, and found a spider that she could sense.
Yeah, that was great. She like looks at the camera and smiles, and then you realize that what she's smiling at is the spider that she's detected.
Yep. It says the end, and then after a few seconds, there's a question mark.
That's right.
Yeah.
But it's the end.
Yeah, it's over.
Yeah, they didn't make another one.
No sequels to this. We should make a sequel to this.
Oh, yeah. With, some things not repeated.
Yeah, maybe a few of not those things.
Jeez.
So that movie's over.
Yeah.
We made it through.
It is very strange.
Yeah.
And very disconcerting at times.
Yeah. It can be. It was had occasion to be quite an upsetting film. Yeah.
It was all those things considered. It was much better than I thought it would be. I expected it to just be, like silly but terrible. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it is terrible in a way, but it's actually pretty entertaining.
Yeah. It is a completely watchable movie, unless things upset you, in which it's not entirely watchable. It's only partially watchable.
Yeah. If and God bless you if it does. If this stuff makes you uncomfortable, then don't watch it.
Yeah. Just have already listened to everything we just said.
Yeah. Exactly.
So does Jessica looking creepy like that and being able to sense spiders, is that trying to imply that Ralph raped Anne?
Ooh. Actually, I didn't think of that till you said it, but now that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's horrible.
Yeah. I don't know when he would have done it. It didn't seem like there was a lot of time for that on screen. But there was a lot of like, this movie did a lot of, it's not on screen business.
Yeah.
But
wouldn't want to show anything bad.
Oh God. Yeah. I don't know. Super effective movie, and it's really interesting that it's a horror comedy that is making fun of the movies that came before it, spoofing those older films, but then also was just so influential to what was going to come next. I mean, we just watched Honeydew, we watched Death Dream, and that other one, House. Like, I feel like this is a good cap to those. It's obvious that a lot of things came from this movie, which was making fun of older movies, and I just think that that's super neat. This is like a very historically important movie for the horror genre.
Yeah, and I mean, it's definitely one that needs to be seen. It's you know, for those reasons, and it's entertaining. You know, like we said, yeah, it's problematic, but you know, fuck, damn near everything was problematic in the '60s. So,
Yeah, yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I don't think they're implying that anything that they're doing in this movie is okay, obviously, but it's just the fact that it's done in such an offhand manner, as if it's just something that's another element that adds to the funniness or something.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what they were thinking, but that's the way it feels almost. You know.
Yeah, I feel like the choice to have Martin Moreland in here was like, oh well, back in the day he was doing this stuff, and so since we're making fun of back in the day, we might as well get him in here to do this.
Yeah, I think he was probably kind of reprising a character that maybe they had, you know, all kind of knew him for.
Yeah,
You know, just almost as a tribute thing, which of course, unfortunately, he's. I mean, it's, you know, it's his choice, but I mean, he's paying tribute to to a stereotypical character that you know, history would probably like to forget.
yikes.
Yeah, well, aside from that stuff, definitely worth watching.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Go out there, watch it if you haven't. Probably have watched it before listening to all this,
Yeah,
but if for some reason not, go do it anyway. Now it's
yeah,
good.
it's
It's
correct.
good. It's worth watching, and it's a historically important movie. You can, whenever your friends talk about like classic horror movies and things that are influential, you'd be able to cite this and sound like a real asshole.
Yeah, that's right, just like us.
Yeah. Actually, I think you're forgetting the influence of Spider Baby.
Oh my God, that's
Lon
right.
Chaney Jr.
I've always felt that Jack Hill has been overlooked in the pantheon of horror directors.
Pre-blaxploitation Jack Hill, actually. Boris Karloff.
Boris Karloff. I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
It's fine. We're both doing it.
Okay.
All right. So John, I gave this movie a 3.5 out of 5 stars.
Okay. Yeah. I was thinking again, I was thinking the exact same thing, but I decided to settle on 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that half star I'm going to remove just because of the discomfort factor for me.
It is quite discomfortable.
I just, for some reason, that's worth at least a halfway to 4 stars between 3 and 4.
Yep. I can appreciate that.
It just, yeah. I mean, it was. You know, it's funny because if I was rating it in different way, like if it, for entertainment value, it was way up there.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the content was definitely kept it back for me.
Yeah.
A lot of the, like, the cheesiness and the fact that they're so sweaty and all the little quirky, those things are great. I love that kind of stuff. You know, that they had basically no budget, and they just, you know, they had to be as inventive as they could with what they had, and the cast is pretty talented. I mean, they're clearly having a lot of fun. I don't think anybody was taking anything too seriously. So, I mean, except for Lon Chaney's little soliloquy, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I'll give it 3.
Okay, that's good. So that is a 6.5 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
That is a solidly in the go watch this movie category of
Definitely
rate things.
Yeah, faux show.
Yep. And John, I wanted to propose a movie that we should make to you after watching Honeydew and Death Dream and House, and then this. I've been thinking about like how House and Death Dream took like different perspectives on the tropey characters, how there's all this cannibalism, and I'd recently watched Nomadland. Have you seen Nomadland?
Yes.
Okay. So Nomadland is this character study where it's just like a lot of quiet scenes of looking at a person living a quiet life.
And
then occasionally some things happen.
Yeah.
I want to make a movie that's just like the exact same tone as Nomadland, but about a cannibal.
Okay.
and the cinematography never really like acknowledges that there's anything wrong with or abnormal with the cannibalism. It's just a person going about their day, their intimate life, getting an insight into their insecurities and their human foibles, and
Yeah.
then just occasionally they kill and eat someone.
So it's not insight into the life of a cannibal. It's insight into the life of this individual who just happens to be a cannibal.
Exactly. The music
Perfect.
never changes to alert you to the fact that there's a cannibalism happening. The movie doesn't behave like it is a horror movie. It's just that's the scene. You know, like in Nomadland, there's a scene in which the plates that were important to her broke.
Mm-hmm.
In this movie, he kills someone and eats them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
And then when we give interviews and people say, so how do you guys feel about, forever being known as the cannibal guys? And then we'll be like, I'm not really sure what you're talking about. I mean, we made a character study.
Yeah, we got Frances McDormand to be in it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's a cannibal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, if in the sense that you mean she killed someone and ate them, her character during the course of the movie, then I suppose.
But I mean, when you think about it, we're all cannibals.
Yeah, and it's not like she's an advocate.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you're missing the point of the film.
Yeah, this is let's deeply dive into the almost the soul of this character.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of see, what really makes her tick throughout her day-to-day life as an elderly person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's really more important than the cannibalism is her attempts to repair the grandfather clock that she inherited.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It means a lot to her.
Yeah.
And so in her own elegant, subdued way, we see a depth of character.
Mm-hmm.
and also she eats human flesh.
Yeah. Delicious.
Gold.
Yes. And I would have said it on Westheimer.
Nice.
Yeah. Just sweaty, horrible people and apartments. Lots of scenes of just her sitting in her apartment and being able to hear the noise of other people in the apartments around her.
Nice.
And occasionally she eats someone.
Does she get the occasional job like she does in Nomadland?
Oh God, yes. She probably like there's a scene where she works at like the as a cashier at the Home Depot, but it doesn't work out.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's a server at that little Greek restaurant right there by Montrose Boulevard.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
A 24-hour spot.
Yep. Yeah.
Whenever I'm passing through Houston.
Yeah. So there's a scene of her just like smoking a cigarette alongside the 99-cent only store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a scene where she has explosive diarrhea in a bucket.
At a bus stop.
Just everyday stuff.
Yeah. Normal slice of life business. So this I propose to you as the first Loathsome Things production.
I'm into it.
Excellent.
I don't know if she'll be, but I'm into it.
Yeah, maybe we could get Mancis McFormand.
That's right. To stick his dick in the mashed potatoes.
Whoa. Tan man.
Oh boy.
John, do you have any final notes that you would like to say to the people? Things that you're thinking about, things you're dreaming about, other things that you've been watching?
I'm watching the remake from a few years ago of I Spit on Your Grave.
Okay.
The rape revenge movie. Speaking of this subject,
entire series of rape revenge movie remakes.
Yeah, that's true. They had a part 2 as well. I don't. Did they go further from there?
I believe there's like I Also Spit on Your Grave.
Wow, it's actually pretty well done. It's to say that it makes you uncomfortable is probably about as big an understatement. It's not the kind of movie I would be comfortable covering here. Just because it's the subject matter is upfront and personal.
Yeah.
And it's very much, most people probably are going to say that's not my thing, and perfectly understandable.
Yeah, I haven't watched it because I just been like, I don't know what I'm gonna get from this.
It's very intense.
Yeah.
I mean, her revenge is pretty creative, but
Oh,
yeah, it's not a pleasant movie to watch.
oh.
So I've been I watched them, still watching that, have not finished it, and thinking of any other horror stuff that I've seen. I can't think of anything. How about you?
Doesn't have to be horror. I watched the entire all of the Conjuring universe movies.
Oh yeah, I did watch the new one.
Yeah, I in anticipation for the new one, I went ahead and I watched all the Conjurings and the Annabelles and the Nuns and that other one.
Wow.
Yeah, the Lloronas, Llorona. I don't know.
Yeah, you're a very brave man.
It's there's some good business in several of those movies, and it would be much more effective if you're the type of person that's like, oh yeah, I really like Catholic stuff.
Yeah.
Because this, in the same way that the Vigil is like, we're gonna, do this thing that everyone else does, but it's gonna be Jewish. This is 8 movies that's that same thing, but just lots of Catholic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like it really trades in Catholicism, which is great, and there's some cool creepy stuff in there. There's some fun world building, but it's just like, well, I don't know, man. I don't think that holy water is gonna work this time.
Yeah.
I guess it would be a very disappointing movie if, the holy water just worked every time. Like, I put crosses, I bless this thing, there's holy water, we're safe.
Movie's over.
Yeah, movie done. But yeah, it's there some movies were better than others. I wouldn't say any of them were great.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd say I've already forgotten the title of the latest one.
Oh, The Devil Made Me Do It? The
yes.
Flip Wilson quote?
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
It was, I mean, it had its moments, but it was terrible.
Yeah. It also really sucks when you realize that it is based on a true story in which the possessed by the devil was invented as a legal defense.
Yeah, and that the guy is clearly a horrible human being.
Yes, that just only had to serve 5 years for murder and got to get married and have a great rest of his life after that.
Yeah. Oh, good. Let's make a Hollywood movie celebrating him.
Yeah. What a feel-good story.
God.
Jeez. I sure do hope Mr. Warren's heart issues don't act up.
Oh, yeah.
But no, there's good stuff. There's one really good scene in oh shoot, I think it's one of the Annabelle movies where like this guy's holding a crucifix towards the evil thing, and then one by one his fingers break backwards away from it so that eventually he drops the crucifix. That's a really good scene. Yeah,
that's good stuff.
Yeah.
I agree. That's quality right there.
Yeah, that was for me the high point. That and there's a scene where there's like a whole black demon and you can just barely see it. It's holding up the Annabelle doll. So at first it looks like the Annabelle doll is just floating, but then you see it's actually a demon that's just holding it and like kind of hiding and peeking its face out from behind the doll. That's good. Everything else, kind of whatever.
That's right.
So go watch all 8 The Conjuring movies.
Tonight.
Yeah, do it.
There's probably, by the time this episode comes out, there'll probably be like 4 more that have come out.
They're going to be making one for the Crooked Man, who I will say, out of all of the nonsense of all of the movies, is the dumbest looking thing in all of the movies.
Great.
Yeah, it just looks like a weird cartoon.
Oh, man. I can't wait to miss that one.
So go watch horror movies and then reach out to us on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Loathsome Pod, and on Facebook at Loathsome Podcast, and tell us how wrong we are about everything.
Yes.
Yeah. Also tell us about what things in this movie made you feel sensitive.
And I'll bet we can guess what they are.
Yeah. And maybe there are some ways that I like trod on some things I shouldn't have trod upon, and it's okay if you want to tell me why I shouldn't have done that.
Oh yeah, we take verbal abuse very well.
Yeah. John especially.
Yeah. but mostly Josh.
Yeah. Okay, say bye to the nice people, John.
Bye, nice people.
Bye.